The stars look different out here in the empty space between worlds. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UE's horizon, watching the view screen show nothing but distant suns and darkness. His ship was one of 12 human vessels exploring the outer edge of known space. They had been traveling for 3 months, looking for new worlds and maybe new friends among the stars. "Sir, we're picking up something strange on the sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Davis from her station. She was young but smart, one of the best sensor operators in the fleet. Multiple ships approaching from the direction of that red star. Jake walked over to look at her readings. The numbers on the screen showed at least 20 ships moving toward them at high speed. These were not human ships. The design was completely different, with energy signatures that looked nothing like Earth technology. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked. "About 15 minutes at their current speed, sir," Amy replied. Her voice showed a little worry, but she kept working at her controls. Captain Lisa Carter stepped up beside Jake. She was the ship's diplomatic officer, trained to handle first contact with alien species. "Should I prepare the standard greeting protocols?" she asked. Jake nodded. "Do it. Let's hope they're friendly." The alien ships were getting closer now. Through the view screen, Jake could see them clearly. They were sleek and silver, with curved hulls that looked like they were made for war. Energy weapons were visible along their sides, and they moved in perfect formation, like a military fleet. Lisa activated the communication system. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Lisa Carter of the United Earthship Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact with your people. Please respond." For several long minutes, there was only silence. Then the communication system crackled to life with a harsh alien voice. "Weak mammals, you have entered the territory of the great Zephrian Empire. I am War Chief Kraft, commander of this battle group. Your pathetic ships will surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Jake felt his jaw tighten. He had hoped for a peaceful first meeting, but these aliens seemed to want to fight. He looked around the bridge at his crew. They were all good people, trained for exploration, not war. But they were also human, and humans had learned long ago how to defend themselves. "War Chief Kraft," Lisa said in her calmest voice, "we mean no harm to your empire. We are explorers from Earth, seeking knowledge and friendship. Surely we can discuss this peacefully." The aliens' laughter came through the speakers like breaking glass. "Friendship? You bring 12 tiny ships with primitive weapons into our space and speak of friendship? Your vessels look like toys compared to our mighty warships. Submit now, and we might let some of you live as slaves." Jake stepped forward and took the communication device from Lisa. "War Chief Kraft, I'm Commander Jake Morrison. We didn't know this was your territory. We're willing to leave peacefully, but we won't surrender to anyone." "Then you will die, foolish human," Kraft replied. "Let this be a lesson to any other weak species that dare to challenge the Zephrian Empire." The alien ships began to spread out in attack formation. Jake could see their weapons charging up, glowing with bright plasma energy. Each Zephrian ship was twice the size of a human vessel, and clearly built for destruction. "All ships, this is Morrison," Jake said into his fleet communicator. "Looks like we're going to have to fight. Remember your training and stay calm. We've handled worse odds before." Lieutenant Greg Parker, Jake's tactical officer, looked up from his station. "Sir, they have us outnumbered almost 2 to 1, and their ships are bigger than ours. Our weapons are just standard kinetic projectiles and basic energy beams. Their plasma cannons look much more advanced." Jake smiled grimly. "Greg, sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't see coming. All ships, engage defensive pattern 7. Let's show these aliens what humans can do." The Zephrian fleet attacked first, sending waves of bright plasma bolts toward the human ships. The energy blasts lit up space like deadly fireworks. But the human ships moved with surprising grace, dodging and weaving between the attacks while returning fire with their simpler weapons. What happened next surprised everyone, including Jake. The human ships seemed to predict where the alien attacks would come from. They moved like they were dancing, always one step ahead of the plasma bolts. When they fired back, their basic projectile weapons found weak spots in the Zephrian shields that shouldn't have been visible. Within 10 minutes, 3 Zephrian ships were drifting helplessly in space, their engines dead and their weapons offline. The humans had lost only one ship, the small scout vessel Pathfinder, but even that crew had escaped in life pods. Kraft's voice came through the communication system again, but now it sounded confused and angry instead of confident. Impossible. Your primitive weapons should not be able to penetrate our shields. Jake opened a direct channel to the Zephrian flagship. On the view screen, he could see the alien commander. Kraft looked like a cross between a lizard and a wolf, with sharp teeth and glowing yellow eyes. His face showed complete shock at what had just happened. War Chief Kraft, Jake said in the same calm voice he had used before. That was just a warning. We don't want to fight you, but we will defend ourselves if we have to. Warning? Kraft snarled. You destroyed 3 of my ships. We disabled them, Jake corrected. Your crews are alive and unharmed. We could have done much worse if we wanted to. The alien commander leaned forward on his command chair. You lie. I saw your weapons. They are basic kinetic projectiles and simple energy beams. Nothing special about them. Jake looked directly into the alien's yellow eyes. What you just saw was barely 1% of our actual military capability. If you continue this attack, you'll force us to show you what humans are really capable of. Trust me, you don't want that. Kraft's eyes went wide. Behind him, other Zephrian officers were looking at their sensor readings and talking in worried voices. They had expected an easy victory against primitive aliens, but instead they had lost 3 ships to an enemy they had outnumbered and outgunned. You are bluffing, Kraft said, but his voice wasn't as confident as before. No species could hide that much power. Jake shrugged. Maybe we are bluffing. Maybe we're not. Are you willing to risk your entire fleet to find out? We're offering you one chance to leave peacefully. Take it. The communication channel went quiet. Jake could see Kraft talking rapidly with his officers, probably trying to decide what to do. The remaining Zephrian ships held their position, but they had stopped charging their weapons. Finally, Kraft spoke again. This is not over, human. The Zephrian Empire does not forget insults. We will return with a proper fleet, and then you will learn the price of defying us. We'll be here if you want to try again, Jake replied. But remember what I told you. What you saw today was just the beginning. The Zephrian ships turned and jumped away into hyperspace, leaving the humans alone among the stars. Jake looked around at his crew, who were all staring at him with amazement. Sir, Greg said quietly. Was that true? About the 1%? Jake smiled and walked back to his captain's chair. Greg, there are a lot of things about Earth's real capabilities that even I don't know. But I do know one thing. Humans have been preparing for this day for a very long time. If those aliens come back looking for a fight, they're going to get a very big surprise. Lisa looked at the empty space where the alien ships had been. Do you think they'll really return? Jake nodded. Oh, they'll be back. Aliens like that don't give up easily. But when they do come back, they're going to learn something very important about humanity. What's that, sir? Amy asked. Jake's smile grew wider. That sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who looks harmless. War Chief Kraft sat in his command chair, staring at the empty space where the human ships had been. His yellow eyes glowed with anger and confusion. 3 of his best warships were now drifting helplessly, their crews working to repair damaged. Systems. The humans had done this with weapons that looked like toys compared to Zephrian plasma cannons. Set course for the home world, Krath ordered his pilot. Maximum speed. The journey back to the Zephrian capital took 2 days. Krath spent most of that time reviewing the battle recordings, trying to understand what had gone wrong. His ships had been faster, bigger, and better armed. The humans should have been destroyed in minutes. Instead, they had fought with impossible skill and precision. When Krav's damaged fleet finally reached the home world, Supreme Admiral Vex was waiting. Vex was the most feared military commander in the Zephrian Empire, a warrior who had conquered dozens of worlds. His office was filled with trophies from defeated enemies, weapons and flags from species that no longer existed. Explain this failure, Vex said coldly as Krath entered the room. Krath told his story, describing the human fleet and the strange battle. Vex listened without interruption, his sharp claws tapping against his desk. You say their commander claimed this was only 1% of their power? Vex asked when Krath finished. Yes, Admiral, but surely he was lying. No species could hide that much strength. Vex stood up and walked to the large window that looked out over the capital city. Millions of Zephrians lived here, all believing their empire was the strongest force in the galaxy. Perhaps, Vex said slowly, but I did not become Supreme Admiral by ignoring warnings. Intelligence Officer Zara will investigate these humans. We need to know what we are really facing. 3 days later, Zara sat in her spy ship at the edge of human space. Her vessel was equipped with the best stealth technology the Zephrian Empire had ever built. She could watch and listen without being detected. What she saw confused her even more than Krath's battle report. Human space was nothing like she had expected. Their world seemed focused on peaceful activities like farming, research, and art. Most of their ships were clearly designed for exploration or trade, not war. Zara watched a human colony world called New Terra for several hours. The planet had beautiful cities with tall glass buildings and green parks. Children played in the streets, while their parents worked in laboratories and schools. She saw no military bases, no weapon factories, no signs of a warrior culture. This makes no sense, Zara said to herself. These people look completely peaceful. She moved her ship to another human world, then another. The pattern was the same everywhere. Humans seemed more interested in building gardens than building weapons. Their technology looked advanced, but not military. Even their space stations appeared to be research facilities rather than fortresses. Meanwhile, deep inside human space, Dr. Alex Turner was having a very different conversation. He worked on a research station called New Geneva, studying alien technology with his team. The station looked like a peaceful science facility from the outside, but Alex knew there was much more to it than met the eye. Have you finished analyzing the Zephrian plasma weapons? Asked Dr. Nina Walsh as she entered Alex's laboratory. Alex looked up from his work. Nina was one of the smartest scientists he knew, and also one of the few people who knew New Geneva's real purpose. Just finished, he said. Their technology is impressive, but it has some interesting weaknesses. Nina sat down at the table, where Alex had disassembled the Zephrian weapon. Show me. Alex picked up a small crystal component. This is their power core. Very efficient, but it overheats if you force it to work too hard too fast. And see this circuit board? The shield. Generators all use the same frequency. If you know the right pulse pattern, you can disrupt their entire defensive system. Commander Pete Johnson walked into the lab carrying a cup of coffee. Pete looked like a simple security officer, but he was actually a military intelligence specialist, with clearance levels that most people didn't even know existed. How bad would it be if these Zephrians decided to attack in force? Pete asked. Alex and Nina exchanged glances. That depends. Enya said carefully. Are we still pretending to be just a research station? Pete smiled grimly. For now. But Admiral Brooks wants to know our options. Admiral Helen Brooks was having her own meeting on Earth. She sat in a conference room deep underground, surrounded by people whose names never appeared in any public records. The room itself didn't officially exist, and the organization they worked for was hidden so well that most government officials didn't know about it. So the Zephrians think we're weak, Brooks said, reading Krath's battle report from intercepted communications. Good. That's exactly what we want them to think. General Tom Hayes, head of Earth's secret military development program, leaned forward in his chair. How long do you think we can maintain the deception? Brooks considered the question. Depends on how curious they get. If they just send more ships like Krath's battle group, we can handle them with our basic fleet. But if they start digging deeper, they already are, said Dr. Mary Kim, Earth's top intelligence analyst. We've detected at least one stealth ship watching our colonies, probably trying to figure out if Commander Morrison was bluffing. Brooks nodded. Then we stick to the plan. Let them see peaceful colonies and exploration ships. Keep all the real military assets hidden. If they attack a defended world, we'll give them just enough resistance to make them think twice. What if they don't think twice? General Hayes asked. Brooks smiled coldly. Then we'll have to educate them about what humans are really capable of. But I hope it doesn't come to that. Back in Zephrian space, Zara was finishing her report. She had spent 2 weeks watching human worlds and found nothing that looked like a serious military threat. Their ships were lightly armed. Their colonies looked defenseless, and their people seemed more interested in art and science than warfare. Admiral Vex, she said, standing in his office 3 days later. I believe the human commander was bluffing. Their space is filled with peaceful colonies and research stations. I saw no evidence of the military power he claimed to possess. Vex studied the images and data Zara had collected. You are certain of this? As certain as I can be without conducting a full invasion, Zara replied. Their technology is advanced, but it appears to be focused on exploration and research, not war. The fleet that defeated War Chief Krath was probably their entire military force. Vex walked to his wall of trophies, looking at weapons taken from conquered enemies. Perhaps these humans are simply more clever than most species. They won one. Battle through surprise and skill, then used fear to avoid having to fight again. That would be my assessment, Admiral. Vex turned back to face Zara. Then we will test them. Not with a direct attack, but with something smaller. If they are as weak as they appear, they will not be able to defend their outer colonies. Which target do you suggest, Admiral? Vex smiled, showing his sharp teeth. There is a human agricultural world called New Haven on the edge of their space. According to your reports, it has only 50,000 inhabitants and no visible defenses. We will attack it with a small force. If the humans truly have hidden military power, they will reveal it to protect their people. If they do not, we will. No, they were bluffing. Zara nodded. An excellent plan, Admiral. When do we attack? Soon, Vex said. But first, I want to send another message to Commander Morrison. Let him know that the Zephrian Empire has not forgotten his threats. 2 days later, Jake Morrison received a communication from Zephrian space. The message was simple and direct. Commander Morrison, this is Supreme Admiral Vex of the Zephrian Empire. War Chief Krath has told me interesting stories about your claims of hidden power. We have decided to test these claims. In 7 days, we will attack the human colony of New Haven. If your military is truly as strong as you claim, you will stop us. If not, the people of New Haven will pay the price for your deception. Choose wisely. Jake read the message twice and forwarded it to Admiral Brooks on Earth. Within an hour, he received her reply. Jake, let them attack New Haven. The colonists. They know what to do. Make sure you're in the area to observe, but don't interfere unless absolutely necessary. It's time to give the Zephrians their first real lesson about human capabilities. Jake smiled as he read Brooks' message. The Zephrians thought they were testing human strength by attacking a defenseless farming world. They had no idea what they were about to discover. Colony Administrator Ben Garcia stood on the observation deck of New Haven's main building, watching the sunrise paint the endless wheat fields golden. The planet was beautiful and peaceful, exactly what humanity had hoped to find among the stars. 50,000 people called this world home, most of them farmers, teachers, and researchers who had come here to build a better life. Ben's peaceful morning ended when his communication device started beeping with an urgent message. He read it quickly, then read it again to make sure he understood correctly. All department heads to the emergency meeting room immediately. Ben announced over the colony's communication system. Priority Alpha Protocol is now in effect. Within 10 minutes, the colony's leadership was gathered around the conference table. Major Kate Thompson, head of New Haven's small security force, sat next to Dr. Sam Williams, the planet's chief agricultural scientist. Lieutenant Ryan Clark, Kate's deputy, looked nervous as he studied the message on his tablet. "People, we have a situation," Ben said, his voice calm despite the serious news. "Intelligence reports indicate that a Zephrian battle group is heading toward our world. They intend to attack us in approximately 6 hours." Dr. Williams looked up from his tablet. "How many ships are we talking about?" 15 warships, Kate replied. "More than enough to destroy a defenseless farming colony." Lieutenant Clark shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Sir, we only have basic security equipment here. A few patrol vehicles and some small arms. We can't fight 15 warships with that." Ben smiled slightly. "Ryan, how long have you been stationed on New Haven?" 3 months, sir." "Ben, there are some things you don't know about this colony yet." Ben pressed a button on the table, and the room's walls lit up with hidden display screens. New Haven isn't just a farming world. Like all human colonies, it was built with certain defensive capabilities. The screens showed detailed plans of the colony that Ryan had never seen before. Hidden beneath the wheat fields were weapon systems. The grain storage buildings had concealed launch bays. Even the solar power collectors could transform into defensive platforms. Every human colony has been designed this way since the first days of space exploration, Kate explained. "We learned long ago that looking peaceful doesn't mean being helpless." Dr. Williams stood up and walked to one of the displays. "Ryan, what do you think those research buildings do?" Ryan looked at the screen showing the facilities he passed every day. "Agricultural research, sir. Developing better crops and farming methods." "That's true," Sam said with a grin. "But they also house some of the most advanced defensive technology that humanity has ever built. The same computers that help us grow. Better wheat can also control weapon systems that most species have never even imagined." Ben activated another screen that showed New Haven from orbit. What looked like communication satellites were actually hidden weapons platforms. The innocent-looking research stations scattered across the planet's surface could project defensive shields powerful enough to stop plasma bombardment. "How is this possible?" Ryan asked, staring at the displays. "I've been all over this colony. I never saw any of this." "Because you weren't supposed to see it," Kate replied. "The whole point is to look harmless while being anything but helpless. Every human world follows the same basic design. We call it the Layered Defense Protocol." Ben pressed another button, and an alarm began sounding throughout the colony. "Citizens of New Haven, this is Administrator Garcia. We have received word of an incoming threat. Please proceed to your designated safe areas and remain calm. Our defensive systems are activating now. Across the planet, amazing transformations began to take place. Farm equipment that had been harvesting crops suddenly reconfigured itself into mobile defense platforms. Irrigation systems revealed hidden sensor networks that could track incoming ships from thousands of miles away. The grain silos that dotted the landscape opened up to reveal missile launchers in orbit around New Haven. Objects that had looked like simple communication satellites began to change shape. Solar panels folded back to expose beam weapons. Navigation dishes rotated to become targeting systems. Within minutes, the planet was surrounded by a defensive network that rivaled anything in human military space. Dr. Williams walked to the main control console. Ryan, would you like to see what agricultural science can really do when it needs to? Ryan nodded, still amazed by everything he was seeing. Sam activated the console, and the screens showed him the planet's true defensive capabilities. Hidden factories beneath the farms could produce automated fighters. The research labs contained energy weapons based on technology that most aliens had never encountered. The Zephrians think they're attacking a helpless farming world, Kate said. They're about to learn that human farmers can be just as dangerous as human soldiers. The Zephrian battle group dropped out of hyperspace right on schedule. War Chief Zorak, the commander chosen for this mission, looked at the peaceful planet below with satisfaction. Intelligence reports had been correct. New Haven looked completely defenseless, with no orbital weapons platforms or military ships. In sight, all ships assume attack formation, Zorak ordered. Target the population centers first. We want the humans to see their colonies burning before they die. The Zephrian ships moved into position, charging their plasma weapons for the bombardment. This would be easy, Zorak thought. After they destroyed New Haven, Supreme Admiral Vex would know that the humans had been bluffing about their military power. Sir, I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the planet's surface, reported Zorak's sensor operator. Probably their power plants shutting down in fear, Zorak laughed. Begin the attack. The Zephrian fleet fired their first volley of plasma bolts toward New Haven's main city. The bright energy beams lit up space as they raced toward the planet's surface. Zorak watched with satisfaction, expecting to see explosions and fire below instead. Something impossible happened. The plasma bolts struck what looked like empty air above the city and simply disappeared. A defensive shield had materialized out of nowhere, protecting the entire colony. What is that? Zorak demanded. Where did that shield come from? Before his sensor operator could answer, space around the Zephrian fleet suddenly filled with human fighters. Hundreds of small, fast ships seemed to appear from thin air, launching from hidden bays all across New Haven's surface. Impossible, Zorak shouted. Intelligence said there were no military facilities on this world. The human fighters attacked with devastating precision. They moved faster than anything the Zephrians had ever seen, firing weapons that cut through alien shields, like they weren't even there. Within seconds, 3 Zephrian ships were disabled and drifting, but the fighters were just the beginning. Objects that had looked like grain silos were now launching missiles by the dozens. The communication satellites in orbit revealed themselves to be weapon platforms that fired beams of pure energy. Even the solar collectors on the planet's surface were shooting at the alien ships. Major Thompson watched the battle from New Haven's command center, coordinating the defense with calm efficiency. Target their command ship, she ordered. Let's send them a message they won't forget. A beam of brilliant white light shot up from what had appeared to be an agricultural research station. It struck Zorak's flagship directly, overloading its shields and knocking out half its weapon systems. The battle was over in less than 10 minutes. Of the 15 Zephrian ships that had attacked New Haven, 12 were now disabled and helpless. The other three were desperately trying to escape, their hulls damaged and their crews panicking. Kate activated the communication system and sent a message to the fleeing Zephrians. Zephrian ships, this is Major Kate Thompson of the New Haven Defense Force. Your attack has failed. Tell your commanders that what you just experienced was approximately 2% of our defensive capability. If you attack any human world, again, you will face much worse. One of the damaged Zephrian ships managed to send a communication probe back toward their home space before limping away. The probe carried video recordings of the battle and Kate's warning message. Ben Garcia joined Kate in the command center as the defensive systems began to return to their hidden configurations. Across the planet, weapon platforms folded back into innocent-looking farm equipment. The orbital defenses resumed their disguise as simple satellites. Think they got the message? Ben asked. Kate smiled as she watched the last Zephrian ship disappear into hyperspace. Oh, they got a message all right, but I don't think they're going to like what it says. Lieutenant Ryan Clark, who had watched the entire battle in amazement, finally found his voice. Major, what happens when they report this back to their leaders? Kate looked at the tactical display showing human space. Other colonies, other worlds. That looked just as peaceful as New Haven, but hid the same deadly secrets. Then their leaders are going to have to make a choice, Ryan. They can accept that humans prefer peace, but are fully capable of war. Or they can keep pushing and find out what our real military looks like. Dr. Williams checked his agricultural systems, making sure the defensive transformation hadn't damaged any of the real farming equipment. Speaking of which, Kate, what percentage of our actual defensive capability did we just show them? Supreme Admiral Vex stared at the battle recordings from New Haven for the 10th time. His claws tapped against his command desk as he watched Zephrian warships being destroyed by weapons that had appeared from nowhere. A peaceful farming world had defeated 15 of his best ships in minutes. How many times have you watched this? Intelligence Officer Zara asked as she entered his office. Not enough, Vex replied coldly. Every time I watch it, I see something new. Something that tells me we have badly underestimated these humans. Zara sat down across from him. Admiral, I spent weeks studying their space. I saw no evidence of this kind of military power. Because they hid it perfectly, Vex said, pausing the recording on an image of human fighters emerging from grain. Silos, look at this. Those weapon systems were completely invisible until they activated. How many other human worlds have similar defenses? Unknown, sir. Probably all of them. Vex stood up and walked to the large window overlooking the Zephrian fleet yards. Hundreds of warships filled the orbital stations, the pride of an empire that had conquered dozens of worlds. Now he was beginning to wonder if it would be enough. Admiral, Zara said carefully, perhaps we should reconsider this conflict. If the humans truly have this much hidden power... No, Vex interrupted. The Zephrian Empire does not retreat from inferior species. But you are right about one thing. We cannot fight them with small battle groups anymore. Vex activated his communication system and sent orders to every fleet commander in Zephrian space. All battle groups returned to home systems immediately. Prepare for full-scale mobilization. We are going to settle this human problem once and for all. Over the next 2 weeks, the largest fleet in Zephrian history assembled in their home system. 5,000 warships, including massive dreadnoughts that could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Vex had pulled ships from every corner of the Empire, leaving only skeleton crews to guard their conquered worlds. Sir, reported Fleet Captain Drac, Vex's second-in-command, all ships are ready for departure. The fleet includes 12 dreadnought-class vessels, 300 heavy cruisers, and over 4,000 support ships. Vex nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. Even if every human world has defenses like New Haven, they cannot stand against this much firepower. The massive fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading for human territory. Their target was Liberty Station, a human trading post near the frontier. Intelligence reports described it as lightly defended, with only a few patrol ships for protection. Commander Jake Morrison was waiting for them. Jake's small diplomatic fleet had been positioned near Liberty Station for 3 days, monitoring long-range sensors for signs of the Zephrian approach. Admiral Brooks had given him specific orders: be present when the aliens arrived, but let Liberty Station handle its own defense. "Sir, massive hyperspace signatures detected," reported Lieutenant Amy Davis from her sensor station. "Estimate over 5,000 ships dropping out of hyperspace in the next few minutes." Jake walked to the view screen and watched as space filled with Zephrian warships. The alien fleet was enormous, stretching across millions of miles of space. At its center were the dreadnoughts, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built publicly. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Greg Barker. "They brought everything they have." Station Commander Carol Martinez watched the alien fleet arrive from Liberty Station's command center. The trading post looked exactly like what it was supposed to be: a simple refueling depot with basic defensive capabilities. 6 patrol ships were docked at the station, along with various merchant vessels and supply ships. "Colonel Murphy, are people ready?" Carol asked her defense coordinator. Colonel Dan Murphy checked his displays. "All civilians are in safe areas. Defense systems are standing by for activation." Liberty Station looked helpless compared to the massive alien fleet surrounding it. The Zephrian ships moved into attack formation, their weapons charging for what they expected to be an easy victory. Supreme Admiral Vex's flagship, the massive dreadnought Conquest, took position directly in front of the station. Vex opened a communication channel, his image appearing on screens throughout the human outpost. "Humans, I am Supreme Admiral Vex of the Zephrian Empire. Your deception ends today. This fleet contains 5,000 of our finest warships. Surrender immediately, or we will demonstrate what real military power looks like." Commander Morrison, watching from his ship nearby, opened his own communication channel. "Admiral Vex, this is Commander Morrison. We met briefly near your frontier a few weeks ago." Vex's yellow eyes focused on Jake's image. "Ah, the human who claimed to possess great hidden power. Are you ready to admit that was a lie?" Jake smiled calmly. "Actually, Admiral, I'm here to make you the same offer I made before. Leave peacefully and no one gets hurt." The alien commander's laughter filled the communication channel. "You have 6 patrol ships against my 5,000 warships, and you offer me terms? Your arrogance is amusing." "Admiral Vex," Jake said, his voice still calm, "I'm going to give you 1 hour to consider your position. After that, if you insist on attacking Liberty Station, I'll be forced to show you what humans are really capable of." "1 hour?" Vex snarled. "I will give you 10 minutes to surrender. Then this station and everyone on it will be destroyed." Jake nodded to Carol Martinez on Liberty Station. "Admiral, you've forced our hand. What you've seen so far really was just 1% of our power. Since you won't accept peace, let me show you what humans are truly capable of." Jake activated a special communication device that sent a coded signal across human space. The message was simple: Operation Revelation authorized. Full deployment. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Zephrian fleet maintained its attack formation while Liberty Station sat quietly in the center of their formation. Vex checked his chronometer, counting down the minutes until his ultimatum expired. Then space began to change. It started as small distortions in the starfield, barely visible ripples that the Zephrian sensors couldn't quite identify. The distortions grew larger, spreading throughout the area around Liberty Station. "Admiral," reported Vex's sensor operator, his voice showing confusion. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures all around us, but I can't locate their source." "Explain," Vex demanded. "Sir, it's like the energy is coming from empty space itself." Jake Morrison watched with satisfaction as the plan he had hoped never to use finally went into action. Around the Zephrian fleet, cloaking fields that had taken humanity centuries to perfect began to drop. The first ship to appear was a human cruiser, materializing less than a mile from Vex's flagship. Then another appeared, and another. Within seconds, the space around Liberty Station was filled with human warships that had been completely invisible moments before. But these were not the exploration vessels and patrol ships that the Zephrians had seen before. These were humanity's true military fleet, ships built with technology that most humans didn't even know existed. They were sleek and deadly, their hulls gleaming with energy fields that bent light around them. "Impossible," Vex whispered as more ships continued to appear. Where did they come from? The human fleet kept growing. Hundreds of ships became thousands, then tens of thousands. The Zephrians found themselves surrounded by a force that dwarfed their own. Massive fleet. Jake opened a new communication channel. "Admiral Vex, I'd like you to meet Admiral Helen Brooks, commander of Earth's true military forces." A new image appeared on the communication screens. A human woman in a military uniform that looked like nothing the Zephrians had ever seen. Behind her, Jake could see the bridge of a ship that was clearly far more advanced than anything humans had revealed before. "Admiral Vex," Brooks said in a calm, professional voice. "I am Admiral Helen Brooks of the United Earth Defense Force. You are currently surrounded by approximately 15,000 of our warships. I suggest you listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you." Vex looked around at his own fleet, which suddenly seemed small compared to the human ships surrounding them. "This is impossible. Our intelligence showed no evidence of this. Many ships. Your intelligence saw exactly what we wanted them to see," Brooks replied. "For 300 years, humanity has followed a simple philosophy. Never show your full strength unless absolutely necessary. Every human world you've observed, every peaceful colony and research station has been protected by cloaking technology and hidden defenses." Colonel Murphy, watching from Liberty Station, couldn't help but smile. "Admiral Vex, would you like to know something interesting? Those 6 patrol ships docked at our station. Each one of them carries enough firepower to destroy your entire original fleet by itself." Dr. Tony Stevens, the fleet's head scientist, activated a demonstration that made Vex's blood run cold. A single human frigate fired what looked like a simple energy beam at a nearby asteroid. The asteroid didn't just explode, it completely disappeared, converted to pure energy in an instant. "Admiral Vex," Stevens said over the communication channel, "that was our basic matter conversion weapon. We have others that can affect space and time itself." Colonel Amy Foster, Brooks' military aide, brought up tactical displays showing the true extent of human space. "Admiral, what you're seeing here today represents about 10% of our actual military capability." Supreme Admiral Vex stared at the human fleet surrounding his ships. 15,000 warships had appeared from empty space, each one clearly more advanced than anything in the Zephrian Empire. His own massive fleet, which had seemed invincible just minutes ago, now looked like toys compared to these human vessels. "Admiral Brooks," Vex said slowly, trying to keep his voice steady, "if you have possessed this much power all along, why did you not reveal it during our first encounter?" Admiral Helen Brooks looked at him with what might have been sympathy. "Because, Admiral Vex, true strength is knowing when not to use your power. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong ensures peace." "Looking strong," while being weak invites challenges. Dr. Tony Stevens activated another demonstration. This time, a human science vessel completely disassembled a damaged Zephrian ship, breaking it down to its basic components in seconds. Then, just as quickly, the same ship reconstructed the vessel perfectly, as if nothing had happened. Matter manipulation technology, Stevens explained. We can rebuild your ships better than they were originally, or we can reduce them to cosmic dust. The choice is entirely yours. War Chief Croth, who had been listening to the conversation from his own ship, spoke up. Admiral Vex, these humans destroyed 3 of my ships with primitive weapons. Now I understand why. They were holding back so much power that even their weakest weapons seemed impossible to us. Colonel Amy Foster brought up a holographic display showing the true history of human expansion into space. Admiral Vex, would you like to know why humanity really developed this technology? The display showed images of Earth's past, wars, destruction, and suffering. Then it showed the gradual development of human space technology and the philosophy that guided it. We learned from our own mistakes, Amy explained. For thousands of years, humans fought wars because we appeared strong and threatened each other. When we reached the stars, we decided to try a different approach. Commander Jake Morrison moved his ship closer to the Zephrian flagship. Admiral, every species we've encountered has eventually faced the same choice you're facing now. Most chose peace once they understood what they were really dealing with. And those who did not choose peace? Vex asked. Jake's expression became serious. There have been 3 species in the past century who refused to accept peaceful coexistence. They insisted on conquest and war, even after we showed them our true capabilities. What happened to them? Admiral Brooks answered this question. They no longer exist as spacefaring civilizations. We didn't destroy their worlds or kill their people, but their ability to threaten others was permanently removed. Dr. Rachel Kim, Earth's chief military strategist, appeared on the communication screen. Admiral Vex, we have weapon systems that can disable every ship in your fleet without harming a single crew member. We also have systems that could make your entire home world uninhabitable for 1,000 years. But we prefer not to use either option. Lieutenant Greg Parker, watching from Jake's ship, whispered to his commander, "Sir, are we really this powerful?" Jake nodded quietly. "Greg, what you're seeing today is still just a small part of what Earth can do. Most humans don't even know about our real military capabilities. We've kept it secret for good reasons." Supreme Admiral Vex looked around at his fleet, then at the human ships surrounding them. His officers were staring at their sensor readings in disbelief. The energy signatures from the human vessels were beyond anything their technology could measure. "Admiral Brooks," Vex said finally, "what do you want from the Zephrian Empire?" Brooks smiled for the first time during the conversation. "The same thing we've always wanted, Admiral. Peace, cooperation, and the chance to explore the universe together. Your empire is welcome to join the galactic community as equals, not conquerors." Colonel Dan Murphy from Liberty Station added, "Admiral, there are currently 47 different species working together in the human-led galactic community. They all face the same choice you're facing now. Every one of them chose cooperation over conflict. And what would this cooperation look like?" Vex asked. Dr. Stevens brought up displays showing peaceful worlds where multiple species lived and worked together. Shared technology, joint exploration missions, cultural exchange, and mutual defense agreements. Your people would keep their independence while gaining access to knowledge and opportunities they never imagined. Major Kate Thompson's voice came through the communication system from New Haven Colony. "Admiral Vex, this is Major Thompson from the world your forces attacked last week. Our agricultural scientists would be happy to share crop improvement technology with your people. Hunger could become a thing of the past on Zephrian worlds. Dr. Sam Williams added, "We've developed farming techniques that can triple food production on desert worlds. Your empire has several planets that could benefit from this knowledge." War Chief Krath looked at the peaceful images being shown by the humans. Admiral Vex, perhaps there is wisdom in considering their offer. Our empire has spent centuries conquering worlds that could barely feed their people. These humans could help us feed worlds we already control. Admiral Vex closed his eyes and thought about everything he had seen and heard. His empire had built its power on military conquest, but these humans had built something far greater through cooperation and hidden strength. "Admiral Brooks," Vex said slowly, "if the Zephrian Empire agrees to join this galactic community, what guarantees do we have that humanity will not use its superior power against us?" Brooks considered the question carefully. "Admiral, I'm going to show you something that no outside species has ever seen before." The communication screen changed to show images of Earth itself. But these were not the peaceful cities and green landscapes that most aliens saw in human propaganda. These showed massive orbital defense platforms, weapon systems that surrounded the entire planet, and military installations that dwarfed anything the Zephrians had ever built. "This is Earth's real defense network," Brooks explained. "It could destroy every ship in your entire empire without leaving Earth's solar system. We built this power not to conquer others, but to ensure that no one could ever conquer us." Dr. Kim added more images showing human colonies and their hidden defenses. "Every human world has similar protections. We are essentially unconquerable, Admiral Vex, which means we have no need to conquer anyone else." Commander Morrison moved his ship even closer to the Zephrian flagship. "Admiral, powerful people who don't need to prove their strength are usually the safest people to trust. We could have destroyed your empire at any time in the past month. Instead, we're offering you friendship." Lieutenant Amy Davis spoke from her sensor station on Morrison's ship. "Admiral Vex, our sensors show that your fleet has weapons capable of devastating undefended planets. But look around you. We've surrounded your entire fleet, and not one of our weapons is pointed at you. That should tell you something about our intentions." Supreme Admiral Vex looked once more at his officers, then at the human fleet surrounding them. 5,000 Zephrian ships faced 15,000 human vessels, and not a single human weapon was targeting them. "Admiral Brooks," Vex said finally, "the Zephrian Empire formally requests to join your galactic community. We choose cooperation over conflict." The communication channels filled with cheers from human ships throughout the fleet. Admiral Brooks smiled broadly as she replied, "Welcome to the community. Admiral Vex, I think you'll find this is the beginning of a much better future for your people." 3 months later, Zephrian agricultural specialists worked alongside human scientists on New Haven, learning techniques that would feed their people better than war ever had. Former War Chief Krath had become Ambassador Krath, working to establish peaceful relations between the Zephrian Empire and other species and the galactic community. Commander Jake Morrison sat on the bridge of the UES Horizon, once again exploring unknown space. His mission had returned to peaceful exploration, mapping new star systems and looking for signs of intelligent life. "Sir," Lieutenant Greg Parker said from his station, "we're receiving signals from an unknown species about 3 light years from here. Should we investigate?" Jake smiled as he looked out at the stars. "Set course for their location, Greg. Let's go make some new friends." "Sir?" Amy Davis asked from her sensor station. "What if they're hostile like the Zephrians were?" Jake's smile grew wider. "Then we'll do what we always do, Amy. We'll speak softly and hope they're smart enough to listen. And if they're not ... we show them the stick?" Greg suggested. "We show them just enough of the stick to get their attention," Jake corrected. "Remember, What we showed Admiral Vex was still just the beginning of what humanity can do when we need to. Lieutenant Ryan Clark, who had transferred from New Haven to join Morrison's crew, looked up from his station. "Commander, do you think we'll ever meet a species that's stronger than we are?" Jake considered the question as he watched the stars. "Ahead. Maybe, Ryan. But if we do, I hope they're as wise as we've tried to be. The universe is big enough for everyone, if we're all smart enough to share it." The U.S. Horizon jumped into hyperspace, heading toward new worlds and new possibilities. Behind them, human space continued to grow through friendship rather than conquest.